The Fish Springs wild horses is what we're looking at, part of the population. We've got 3 or 4 bands here, and they're just coming in for water. Their habitat includes private land owned by AWHC, the Bentley family, and some other private owners, as well as Bureau of Land Management land and Bureau of Indian Affairs, which is known as BIA land. So they have, I think it's about 100,000 acre habitat out here, where they roam free. And you can see there's little ones out here.
Oh, the littles are so cute.
Oh my God, they're so pretty. And there's a stallion named Zorro who is always interesting to watch because he's always causes trouble with the other stallions. And it's really cool how they will come into water. Sometimes they come one band at a time, and then they often come out and just nap and hang out and before they move on.
There's so many of us that follow you and many other organizations who are trying to save the wild horses. And yes, it is really sad to watch the roundups, but we always have to remind ourselves what the good stories are.
Yes.
And what we can do now. And I've volunteered with a lot of animal organizations, and sometimes you have to go, okay, what do we do with the ones that are safe? As well as how do you preserve those and preserve the land? And I know we were having a conversation, and I know sometimes getting to the hard part is it really is a bottom line issue. It's about money, and to not skirt around some of the details sometimes. I think just as a viewer, you really go, yeah, this is literally about money. Somebody's washing somebody's hands, and at the expense of our beautiful wild horses. As many people that we have out there that want to help, getting the word out there is a good thing, but two, what else can people do to make a big difference and try to save as many horses as we can from being rounded up?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think you're right that the horses always come up last in the priorities of the BLM in terms of protection. Because they are perceived to lack economic value. You know, the public lands are used for so many extractive uses like oil, gas, mining, and mostly livestock grazing. And this herd is a perfect example because they are a top tourist attraction for this beautiful Carson Valley where we're at. And they're promoted by the tourism board, they're embraced by the county board of commissioners. And so they do have economic value, but we do have to advocate for them. And I think since this is a federal issue, it's the federal government that's treating the horses in this way, rounding them up. The main thing that people can do is call their congresspeople. And it doesn't mean just one time call your congressman and move on. It really requires getting to know the congressional offices in the district. Every congressperson will have an office in Washington and 1 or 2 offices in their home districts. You can go in, you can schedule meetings with the local staff, you can recruit your friends and neighbors to come and really let them know that their constituents care about wild horses and burros and want them treated humanely. And make it an issue, make it a local issue for your congressional representatives. And then, of course, your senators are the same. They're a little harder to reach because they represent the whole state, but they too will listen to constituents. So the more that people can get in front of these people, you can go to town halls and ask them questions. You can schedule meetings in their offices, bring your friends, bring your family, and just make an issue of it in your where you live. And they'll carry that back to Washington.
And I do feel like that's a big question for a lot of people is I don't know what to do. Like
Right.
I know that I can post and I can share on
Right.
social media, but literally can I pick up the phone and I call and I say, I just want to have a meeting and I've got 10 people behind me that want to, have a conversation with you about the horses and maybe you can do it once a month, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they'll take your call,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
You can.
Okay.
Or when there's a particular, timely bill to support. You can't call and write too much, especially if you're expanding beyond yourself and bringing more people in the community into the picture. I know, isn't it cool?
They're showing off. Like, look, we're gonna get our last show in here.
This is cool.
They're
He
adorable.
wants to lay down.
Getting their showers in.
It's so cool.
They really are special.
It's such a special experience to come out here and see wild. Like, I mean, we're lucky because they're not far from where we live, but people across the country would just give anything to see the wild horses. Like the fact that we're in this corner of the West where wild horses still run free, it's like pretty amazing. And
I did see something in Wyoming, because I know that seems to be a tough district. I don't know, governor, mayor, somebody really doesn't advocate for horses well out there. And I should probably know the name. Maybe you do. However, I noticed some people saying don't do tourism out in Wyoming. Does that help or not help?
It can help if enough people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wyoming's a tough state politically.
Yeah.
The cattle industry holds great sway in Wyoming. But even there, we're making some inroads. We're working with the BLM to try to get sort of a collaboration going, like they did in Utah with the working group. We're bringing different people together to try to preserve what's left of those Wyoming herds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yes, boycotts work, but you have to have enough people to make a difference. So you got to get the word out, and that's the other thing. Sharing does help because a lot of people still don't even know that we have wild horses here.
Yeah.
Let alone what's happening to them. So that's a big piece of advocating for them is just spreading the word.
The idea of one side being a little closed-minded, where you go, look, there's so many ideas, and I imagine that you all have put forward towards the BLM is allow us to work with you. So I would imagine even the horses in the roundup, and I would, my ideas would be like, why not let the horse advocacies work with the horses you've rounded up? Okay, so we've rounded them up. It's awful, but here they are. How can we help you with this situation now with the hundreds of horses?
Yeah. It's frustrating that the BLM is not more collaborative with nonprofits that want to help. There'll be groups that advocate for local herds that can adopt the horses locally, and the BLM will just, round the horses up, send them into the holding system, put them online, force the groups that know the horses and want to place them to outbid other people in a financial gain.
Yeah. And I want to press this issue because I know your organization has to be very, very middle of the road in order to get things done. But for someone like me who gets to say, no, this is literally everything is about money. Yeah. So we're not going to just let you help out with the horses. We need to make sure that we get money. And then where is that money going, BLM? Where is that money? Yeah. I'd like to know where that is. And so I just feel like those are the real issues that, we, in discussing with people outside of it, saying, no, we need to flesh this out and say, literally, this is what this is about.
Well, it is. And people say, why does this keep happening? Why do they keep rounding up the horses? And it is about money because there are better ways. Like here, we're keeping these horses wild through fertility control. With the local group does fertility control on them. And that keeps them in balance and keeps them wild. But why doesn't the BLM do that more? Because there's a whole lot of money going into the roundup system. The livestock companies that round up the horses, the livestock companies that operate the holding facilities, they get like $8 per horse per day in 4,000 horse facilities. They own those facilities. It's tens of millions of dollars going into the pocket of the livestock industry, which is also benefiting from the removal of horses from the range because they get to run more of their cows out there. So it is all about the money.
Well, here's what they don't think about. It's like, okay, at the end of the day, let's say you eradicate all the horses, then what are you going to do? What else are you going to find? And that really is where does it net? And I think that's, the group, the fans, if you will, of the American wild horse say, when is enough enough? So then you're going to do it to the elk. Obviously, they're doing it to the burros, and then the skin trade that goes on with the burros, which I don't know if people really know about it, which is pretty awful as well. And just really diving into what being American is, and the American West is huge. And I know everything is very political at the moment, but I mean, politically, the way things have been is just the only way we can change is in groups and voices.
Yeah, we
The
have to,
continued
yeah,
conversation.
and they are. I mean, this is the wide open West, and these are symbols of the West. And if we get rid of them, you're right. What's next? I mean, it's kind of like they're the canaries in the coal mine for protecting the public lands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. We have to stand up for them for sure.
Is there anything else, Suzanne? I want to leave you with the kind of the final word here, and on this particular part of our conversation, because I know we'll continue to have these conversations, because I'm sure people will reach out and ask me some questions and things that I probably won't have the answers for. But yes, if there's anything extra you want to add, because this is so important.
We know that we have a very bipartisan issue here. We've done polling, and equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans, Trump voters, Biden voters, support wild horses. So we have a strong constituency that we have to keep building, and we're going to have a new Congress. So we'll have work ahead of us to educate the new members and to continue to raise our voices and have a whole new year to make a difference when we seat the new Congress.
I'm glad we got to experience just a very small moment in time with these gorgeous animals who I love and are near and dear to my heart all my life. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Until next time, we'll definitely do this again. Thank you.
Thank you.